Assalamu alaikum guys, this is Sulaiman, your Arabic teacher from seedsofilm.com. It's a Wednesday, so that means that I'm making a video for the parents, and in this video what we've got coming up is I'm going to give you 5 ways to instill love for the Arabic language in your children. So the reason why I'm in my car might be your first question: why on earth is Sulaiman in his car? I'm on the road at the moment. Sometimes I make the effort to go visit some of my students that I teach online. So I'm in East London. I've got about 15 minutes before I'm going to go and see one of my students. Her name's Sumaya, so big shout out to her if you're watching, Sumaya. Yeah, so I've got like 15 minutes, and I wrote a really cool blog recently, and I think it's probably one of the most important videos that I've ever done. It's just 5, as I say, 5 just tips for parents or, you know, anybody who teaches children Arabic to instill the love for the Arabic language, but I guess it's specifically for the parents. And I've written a blog on it, which is on my website. I'll leave a link in it to the description. It's also on my LinkedIn and my Executive Muslim profile as well. That's a new social media, by the way. If you haven't looked at Executive Muslim, I've been speaking to those guys. Like, I was one of the first on board, so I'll leave a link to that platform in the description too. So I haven't got anything with me. I just thought it'd be really important just to me to make a video about it before I forget about it, or because like the next daily videos will come up, and you know, because I'm on the road, I don't really have like, you know, any space to make videos in particular. So I thought I'll just use a sort of 15 minutes or so just to give you guys the video. So, yeah, the first one is about making it into play. I mean, that's a fairly obvious one about making the Arabic language into play, but in my blog, the metaphor that I draw is to do with learning to ride a bike. You know, like, people all over the world spend hundreds of pounds a year. I mean, like, my brother, he loves cycling, and he spends hundreds of pounds a year on cycling equipment and stuff like that. But the reality of cycling is that it's not fun. It's really difficult, and you have to do it in all types of weathers, and it's really painful to do cycling well. But the reason is because when we first learnt to cycle, we usually learnt it with a caring parent who didn't judge us if we made mistakes and was really patient with us whilst we were learning to ride a bike. But for some reason, our parents, and myself included, we don't make the effort to be patient in that way for our children learning Arabic. You know, we're quick to, you know, correct their mistakes. We're quick to snap at them if they get things wrong, or to be impatient when they don't understand something. So that's the first thing, to make it to do with play, but also bring traits that a parent has when they're playing with their children into learning Arabic as well. Rather than, I didn't strictly mean, you know, like I have lots of videos about learning Arabic through games like Noughts and Crosses and Hangman and stuff like that. I have lots of videos about that. But like I don't specifically mean that. I mean more about the qualities and the traits that a parent has when they're playing games with their children to bring them into teaching Arabic. The second one, off the top of my head, was having age-appropriate resources. Having age-appropriate resources. And that's some of the things really difficult. Like, I mean, especially for the children that I teach, the majority of them are between the ages sort of 7 to 11. And then this real, like, in-between stage, like a lot of the resources that I find online, a lot of them are either, like, pitched for, like, babies. Like, they're cartoons, and they're just not quick enough. Like, you learn a few words, or they do a lesson around the colours or something, but this is too little. Like, and then the other things are pitched for adults, and there's this group in the middle that I always think get neglected, and I think that's the case with most industries, really. Like, I call it the blue table syndrome, because when I was a primary school teacher, there's like a middle ability group called the blue table, and it was always really easy to plan for your higher abilities and really easy to plan for your lower abilities, but your middle abilities often get neglected a little bit. Like, they're just thought of as being somewhere in between, or they get lumped in with the lower abilities, they get lumped in with the higher abilities, and the same I think for age. Like, when we're writing resources and curriculums for our children in that blue table group, that's how I refer to it, I think is really difficult. So it's really important for you as parents, when you're investing in resources and things, to, you know, to think about, you know, to assess the maturity of your children and then buy things accordingly for them. Because, you know, there are so many resources out there that were written for adults that are used for children in our madrasas all over the UK. Like, you know, the classic example is the Medina books. And the Medina books are written for adults. They were written for people who want to be students of knowledge. They want to be Tullab al-Ilm at the University of Medina. And then we're giving them to our 5-year-olds in Islamic centres and stuff in the UK. But obviously there are loads of Islamic centres doing amazing things out there, and that's not always the case. So, yeah, so age-appropriate resources and making sure that you're on it with the maturity of your children. The third one even, is having a structured program. Like, if you employ a tutor like myself, ask your tutor if they have a structured program, if there's like a structured way of knowing that they're progressing with grammar and vocabulary and that they're actually progressing. And then obviously I do a little bit of shamelessly plug a little course that I'm writing at the moment. I'm writing a video course at the moment. That'll be my website. Obviously, that's kind of my main focus for December, is getting my video course, my Seeds of Ilm Level 1 video course published. So that's obviously an example of a structured program, but there are lots of them out there that are really, really good. If you want me to review any of them, by the way, I do product reviews every Friday, so you can just write to me and say, look, I'm thinking of buying into this program, I'm thinking of buying into this book. Suleiman, could you answer a few questions about it, do a little review on it, and I'll do that for you, inshallah. So that's what I'm doing every Friday. So that was the third one, is having, making sure that you have a structured program, that there is structure for your children, so they know the consistency of how much they have to learn every week and things like that. And sometimes it has to have even consistent branding or a consistent person as well even. So having structure in it, that was my third tip. My fourth tip is using story as much as you can. Like in a lot of my work, especially with the littler ones that I teach, like I think introducing children into enjoying stories and enjoying reading in Arabic is actually their introduction to enjoying and finding meaning in the Quran even when they get older. Like sometimes there are things in the Quran, we should introduce our children to the Quran as young as we can and encourage them to memorize and things like that. But what children are seeking from a book isn't necessarily the same as what adults are. And like the Quran came down to an audience of people who are adults for the most part, and it takes a real maturity to really appreciate the things that have come down in the Quran. So when you introduce children to stories, I think that's a much easier kind of stepping stone into learning the Quran rather than trying to simplify things in the Quran for them. So encouraging your children to open books and to find meaning in books and to want to go and search for other stories and things like that is really, really important. So encouraging story, that was my fourth tip. And then my fifth tip, my last tip for today, is choosing your battles. I think it's so important that you choose your battles when you're teaching children, because children, regardless of whether they're 4 or you have a student who's 74, they're going to make mistakes. Like the amount of grammatical knowledge that you need just to form a simple sentence in Arabic is just staggering. So when you're first teaching children, especially children, but it also applies to beginners of any age, they're going to make mistakes, and you need to pick your battles. And exactly, it refers back to what I was saying at the beginning. Like when we were teaching our children to ride a bike, there were certain mistakes that we didn't criticize them for. At first, it's just about using the pedals, keeping up momentum, and keep on going forward. We're not going to criticize our children for not, using the front brake instead of the back brake or something like that. You've got to choose your battles that are appropriate for the learning stage of your children. And they might not be able to deal with 5 mistakes in one sentence that they made. They might not be able to deal with, 10 targets at the end of a lesson. Like it's just not realistic. So this one is pretty intuitive, really, the last one, but it's one that I've seen so many Arabic teachers and homeschooling parents and stuff forget, that you need to choose your battles. Like letting your children get away with getting one of the cases wrong. They put a dhamma instead of a fatha or a fatha instead of a kasra or something. Like you can let them get away with that for now. Like it's more important than the fundamentals of the Arabic language. The fundamentals of the Arabic language, are the ones that you're correcting your children on. So, fifth tip, pick your battles. So that's everything from me from now. If you have any questions, then please just stick them in the comments and I'll get back to you, inshallah. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, then please don't forget to like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.